Oh, well, I thought I wrote that one down to Barbara Liam's house, but I guess I didn't. I thought I wrote it down. Okay, well, I guess I didn't. But well, so this morning, well, I just, I'm just gonna talk about like one part of it. Well, no, yesterday morning, it was kind of funny, but it was kind of sexual. So I can't talk about it, but it was sexual. But the funny thing was, okay, so I was renting this house from a woman, and it was kind of like, well, it was just kind of like an apartment house, a big apartment house within a bigger building, and it seemed like I was on like the second or third floor. And I know I'm probably forgetting a lot, but I remember all the sexual stuff and stuff. And that could have been, Joel probably gave me that one, most likely. And, but the funny thing is, I remembered the part, because I didn't write it down or anything, several, minutes later or hours later, I remembered the part where, so I was walking around this big, almost, empty, apartment home, because I was renting it, and I was about to move all my stuff in and everything. And then I noticed she left a dresser, and I was like, well, I don't want this shit in my apartment, if I'm renting it, I don't want this crap here, But it was pretty big. The whole living room area, aka bedroom area, is pretty big, and it was kind of older, and it had wood floors. And then the dresser was kind of over there in the corner that she had left in there. Well, the same alien, I don't know, maybe Joel does give me some scenarios sometimes and doesn't put sex in there. Because, they give me this theme many times, where I'm renting this apartment or whatever, and they keep, the landlord keeps, leaving their crap in there. Because the aliens know I'm OCD, So anyway, but on the top, so I opened up, at first I thought, well, this is going to bother me, this wood dresser here. But then I thought, well, maybe not. So I opened up the drawers, and they all were empty except the top drawer. All the sexual stuff was after that. But I opened up the top drawer, and there was tons and tons and tons and tons of cards. And it's kind of funny because I was just looking at all my cards like the other day, and I have a bunch of cards that I've saved 20, 30, 40 years or whatever, in this house, in real life. And so it was all these cards, like birthday cards, Christmas cards, or love cards, and blah, blah, blah. But it was basically, hers. It wasn't mine because it was her dresser. It was her stuff. But nothing was in the drawers except the top drawer, and it was nothing but cards, like at least 100 or more. And most of them had envelopes and everything. And so I picked one up, and I even opened it up and everything, and I read it and everything, and I remembered everything it said. But it was basically kind of like a love letter, like it was like her boyfriend, and, she was right. And the landlord, I didn't see what she looked like. I didn't see what she looked like, but she seemed to be at least 60 or whatever, this woman that I was renting this big apartment home from. Kind of like apartment, kind of like a house, but inside of a bigger building or whatever. And then but it was kind of like, just her cards that she saved over the years, kind of like what I did, what I do in real life or whatever. But I just recently threw some of the envelopes away. But anyway, so the aliens just copied that and put that in here. But I read the whole letter, the whole card and everything, and it was like, I totally remember most of it. It basically said, dear so-and-so, I miss you, I love you, and blah, 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 blah. And I read it. I read the whole thing, and it was basically, you know, like a love letter to one of her boyfriends or ex-boyfriends or husband or whatever. So that was kind of cool. And then it was just a bunch of sexual sexual stuff like way after that. But I can't talk about that. But like this morning, okay, no, that was yesterday. Yeah, that was yesterday morning, and then this morning, and the funny thing is, I was talking to them, and I was like, "You can come give me some sex." 9 times out of 10, they do too. When I say that, but sometimes they do even when I don't say that, but or vice versa or whatever. But okay, so this morning, well, I'm gonna try to hurry up. This morning, it was just so awesome. I mean, and the aliens have done this time and time again. It really sucks, you know, when one of your animals or humans die or whatever, and then the aliens, they give you this awesome scenario. It's like the angelic aliens give you these kinds of, or maybe some of the grays. They give you these kind of scenarios where they show up, and you're like, wow, you know, they're so healthy and blah 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 blah. And you're coming to take them home or whatever. But in real life, they're dead. So then you wake up, and so then you're all sad and stuff because they're really still dead or whatever. But, yeah, but this was about my cat, Patty number 2. And, but anyway, okay, so I'm going to try to hurry up. So it started off, basically, the alien didn't really tell me where I was at, but it seemed like I was in Kansas City. Of course, it was under lucid dream state, so it felt like a different dimension and everything. But it felt like I was in Kansas City, like area. And I was basically outside on my bicycle. And but I was in a big pasture. I don't know what you call it, pasture, grassy area, yard. No, well, not yard, but big pasture or grassy area. And then I kept riding my bike and coming across these freaking sinkholes. But they were kind of odd looking. They weren't like a round hole. Some of them were very long. Very, what is that? Horizontal, like sinkholes. I kept coming across, and I was like, wow, I'm going to fall down, you know, in the holes and stuff. And, well, actually, a reptilian probably gave me this scenario. And, one of the flat-faced beings. And, yeah, so then I just kept trying to dodge these freaking sinkholes. And I would see kind of like black underneath the sinkhole, kind of like the shadow, where it just kind of dropped into nowhere, you know, if you rode your bike into it or whatever. But anyway, I never did fall into it or anything, but with my bike, but I just kept trying to dodge these sinkholes. And it was all very, you know, like virtual reality. All these scenarios are very OBE-VR, lucid dream. But I call the OBE-VRs without lucid dream, I call those the ones that feel like 3D. But all of these were like OBE-VR lucid dreams, where it feels like you're in a different dimension, but you're still out of body, and it's still very virtual reality. So anyway, so I just kept riding my bike a little further after I bypassed all the, the sinkholes. And then over to my left, I looked down, and there was Patty number 2. And she, well, I already had a feeling that was going to happen. I was going to let her out one day, and she wouldn't come back. And in real life, it happened. Like in the middle of July, I let her out because it wasn't real hot, and she never came back. Well, I know she probably went off to die, but it was still kind of anomalous, so I don't know what happened. Because she really wasn't ready to die yet, even though she still looked pretty sickly and skinny of hyperthyroid and stuff. Maybe she was feeling a lot worse than I thought, and maybe she just wanted to die, you know. But she never came back, and that was in like middle of July or July 10th, something like that. So it's been over 5 months, and she hasn't came back. I think she probably died under the shed over there. But so in the scenario, I was like, Patty, I was kind of like, wow, you came back. And you know, I knew she had like, came back to me. even though I knew in the scenario, I still knew that it had been several months. And I looked down and I picked her up and everything. And she was so healthy looking. She looked really healthy. And she wasn't overweight. She wasn't skinny. She was totally healthy looking. And she looked younger too. She looked about like 4 years old. And she was totally healthy. So I picked her up. And then way over to the left, I started walking. And I think I left my bike there, but that part's not real clear. Or the alien didn't really program that part. But I started walking over to the left, and I came across, it seemed like it was a semi gas station, but the house, it was like hooked onto a house where this big family lived. And at first I just saw like an older man and woman, like a wife and a husband. I went inside there. And because I wasn't done riding my bike yet, and I wanted to put Patty somewhere, and then I was going to come back and get her to take her home, wherever home was or whatever. And so I went inside that house, aka gas station, and they looked about, I don't know, like late 50s. And then I kind of saw their daughters and sons, like maybe about 1 to 3 of them, or about 2 to 3 of them, kind of lingering around, and they were probably 30s or 40s or whatever. And then I saw some of their furniture and stuff like that, but they were complete strangers. And then I was kind of like, here, will you watch my cat Patty, because I'm not done riding my bike yet, and then I'll come back and get her. And because I didn't want to leave her out there, because I thought she might run off again or whatever. I didn't want to leave her out there in the pasture. Okay, so then this is kind of funny, but so then the man and the woman, they started walking around, and they were kind of acting like, well, we can't really watch it because we're about to leave out of the house. And it looked like they were getting like skiing, like snow skiing gear on. That was kind of funny because there wasn't any snow on the ground. But that was kind of funny because in real life we got a little bit of snow the other day, and we got a little bit of snow this morning. Well, that part was kind of funny actually because, actually I did hear on the news that that we might get like a dusting or whatever. So that was already in my brain before the alien gave me this experience. But that part was kind of funny because they were kind of like walking around the front door, like getting their gear on, and they were kind of insinuating like, no, we can't watch her right now because we're about to go snow skiing. And then that was the end of the scenario. It wasn't a very good scenario, but it was kind of cool. I mean, it was so real. Patty was so real. But I know it really wasn't her. You know what I mean? I know it really wasn't, what do you call it? Like, a spirit. I know most people, if they get these scenarios, they're going to really think it's a spirit, But I know that's not really true because I know it's the aliens, They can do that. They have the ability to do that and give you these experiences, you know what I mean? And then make you think, oh, well, they know that I don't think it's a spirit or whatever, a spirit cat. But hopefully in real life, she really is in, heaven cat dimension, and she really looks the way that she did in the scenario, like 5 years old, very healthy, younger, and very, very healthy. But yeah, but it was so real. It was so real. And then, of course, when you wake up, you're all sad because you really know she's not coming back. You know what I mean? But, yeah, so that was kind of cool. But then, I had a bunch of other better scenarios that I haven't talked about yet, but I guess I'll talk about the Barbara Lamb one because I didn't write that down. I thought I wrote it down. I guess I didn't. Or typed it up, my legs are itching because I just took a bath, and that damn soap, I think it really does dry my skin out really, really bad. But, I think all soap would. I don't think it's just that Kirk soap. I think it all would. But I don't know. Maybe I'll try to find some different soap or something. But so like, yeah, so, okay, so, shit, okay, hold on, let me think. Let me get it all in my head and crap. Okay, so basically this is kind of funny, but this was OBE-VR Lucid Dream to Barbara Lamb's house, and this is not the first time the aliens taken me to her house, or just a house that they made up for me, under the under the dream state or whatever. This is the second time they and it was very, very, very similar the first time around. This house that they created for me in this scenario, is very, very similar to the last. Almost 100%, as far as I remember. And I think I did talk about that one. I can't remember, and I don't know when I had that scenario. That was I don't know, a year ago maybe, or longer. I can't remember. But they've taken me there before, and I think I kind of know where she used to live or whatever, but I think it was a townhome. I don't think it was a big, big house like what the aliens made for me under the scenario. But anyway, so basically, like Barbara Lamb was living in, and she did look younger. I would say she looked more like maybe 70. Oh, no, I would say she looked more like maybe 75. So she looked a little bit younger, like maybe 75. But basically, because me and the other crop circle group people under the scenario, we knew that she couldn't give tours anymore, so we were going to go visit her. We were going to go surprise her and visit her under the scenario. In the scenario, her house was just one level, and it was fancy, and it was it was at least I would say 3,000 square feet. It wasn't small, it was pretty large, but it was just one level, and it was white. The whole front of it and everything was white, but the whole back side, the whole backyard. Not the whole backyard. The backyard. Yeah, see, that first scenario they gave me, she had a dog. In this scenario, she did not. But the house was almost exact. So they took me to her house before, so to speak, under OBE-VR lucid dream. But this scenario, she did not have a dog. This time she was just completely by herself. She was hanging out in her backyard. I can't really remember how big it was pretty big as far as I remember. And I think I do remember seeing some trees, some small trees. But what I mean is, I can't remember exactly how big her actual grassy area was in her backyard, but her patio was pretty damn big. And I can't remember if it was concrete or what it was, but it was a big old patio. And she was by herself, of course. And she was, so I basically was the first one that snuck up behind her. I snuck up, I went around that side of the house, the back of the house, and I snuck up behind her. And she was on her patio, sitting there, but then she started to get up, like she was getting she got up to reach some packets of sugar and shit to put in her coffee. And so she was facing, north. And then she picked up the packages, and then she turned around and faced south. And I was south, and that's when she saw me. She saw me, and but I don't remember. And she looked surprised and everything. And now at that time, I can't remember if I said anything. I maybe did. I probably forgot. But eventually, okay. So then she saw me and everything. Then all of a sudden, we went inside her house, and I saw right in the middle of her house was kind of like her bedroom. Over to the right was a vanity, but I didn't actually see a toilet, but I saw a bathroom and a vanity. And then was her big bed was in the middle of the house. It almost was in the middle of the house. And it was a pretty big bed, and she had a big white thick comforter on top of the bed. And this was all, made up. It doesn't mean she really has all that in real life or whatever. This was all made up by the aliens. Okay, and then but they could put real details of their life in my scenario. They probably do too. Okay, so anyway, I can't believe I wrote this one down because I thought I was going to. Okay, but anyway, so then we walked. It lasted probably for, I don't know, 5 hours, this whole scenario. We probably were in her house 5 hours walking around. Now, but first, it just seemed like I was kind of alone when I snuck up behind her. I was alone. And then all of a sudden, when me and Barbara Lamb went back into her house, all of a sudden, not long later, about 7 to 8 people showed up. And it was 7 to 8 people plus us walking around her house. And I remember thinking, like, wow, like, Barbara Lamb's going to get sick of all these people, you know, like, running around her house. But basically, I was with the crop circle tour, and we were just, or the ex-crop circle tour. In the scenario, previously, we had went on a crop circle tour, you know, and in the scenario, you know, she couldn't go on tours anymore. So in the scenario, we just all got together and came at different times and visited her, basically, and was trying to surprise her. Okay, at one point, as we started walking around, she had a bunch of stuff. I mean, a bunch of furniture, a bunch of knickknacks. She had, her house was full of nice stuff, and everything was real clean and everything. And then, and eventually I did tell Barbara Lamb, like, I couldn't go out and eat or whatever because I can't eat anything and blah, 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 blah. And she was trying to ask me questions about that. You know what I'm saying? And, and it almost seemed like, I don't know, a couple times she was just like, I don't know, like questioning, you know, about food allergies and stuff like that. But anyway, so I told her, you know, I probably couldn't eat anything, like if we all went out to eat and blah, 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 blah. And we eventually we went to the front yard and started walking around too. And then it was just, you know, a few seconds later, we were all going to go out to eat. But we never did. In the scenario, we never did, but we were about to. And then, but the other funny part was, okay, hold on, because okay, hold on. I'm just trying to remember this part. It was the, okay, yeah, okay, I remember it. Okay, so, but, another part of the scenario, okay, I think this was, not long before we went to the front yard and would start walking around talking, and then we were about to go out to eat. This part was it was before that. But then I went to on the back porch, not really a porch, patio, big patio. I went around to her back patio again, and Barbara Lamb was sitting there, and I was sitting there, and then there was like 3 or 4 other crop circle people sitting there, and then this lady, and a lot of them were familiar to me, but I can't remember exactly who they were now, but some of them, I'm sure the aliens did try to copy what they look like. And the girl to the left, the woman to the left, she had kind of longish brown hair, and she looked about 40 or whatever, and she was about to drink some Equate, kind of like Ensure, but it's the cheap Ensure, you know, like the chocolate shake and shit, protein shakes and stuff. She had like 3 bottles, and she was about to drink her Equate, which is kind of like Ensure. It's the Walmart brand, like Equate, Ensure. And I was like, wow, you know, I used to drink that stuff all the time, but now, you know, I wouldn't trust drinking it. I can't drink it. And, but the funny thing is the plastic bottles were shaped kind of like, they were oddly shaped like that, you know, gas cleaner. Like the gas cleaner, like the cleaner that you put into your tank, your gas tank. It was shaped really odd. I put a picture of it in the template. You know, it wasn't shaped like a normal Ensure or Equate bottle. And then there's also Glucerna. That's kind of like a protein shake, I think, for diabetic people. But it wasn't shaped like that. It was shaped like, you know, it was real wide down at the bottom with real skinny neck. Kind of like the, what's it called? STP or something like that. But anyway, so that was kind of funny. And I'm trying to remember what color was the bottles. The color of the bottles, the plastic bottles, I think were red, as far as I remember. Reddish, pinkish. But anyway, it was kind of funny. Because I was like, yeah, you know, I used to drink that stuff all the time, you know, but now I can't. Because I don't know what the heck's in there. But anyway, it was kind of fun. And like I said, that's not the first time that they took me to her exact house in another scenario. but she had a dog in that other one, and I can't remember the other details. I can't even remember if I talked about it. But yeah, so that was kind of cool. Okay, then I guess I could maybe talk about one more, but I'm not going to be able to talk about it anymore because I think the video is getting too long. The video is getting too long. I'm going to talk about the Walmart one. That was a blast, man. The Walmart scenario. And then, yeah, I'm going to have to talk about the other ones in another video. Okay, so, okay, hold on. Oh, yeah, and Barbara Lamb, she also had, when I looked over to the right at the vanity, she had like a big bench, like a big mirror, a big bench, and she had all sorts of like really cool looking, fancy looking perfumes, lotions and stuff laying all over the vanity table, you know, or the, you know, at the side of the vanity and stuff. But anyway, that's kind of cool. But, okay, so the other scenario, I don't even know if I have time to talk about it, because I don't know how much space I have left. Okay, man, I've been having lots of cool OBE-VR lucid dreams. Lots of cool ones. And, I think I'm getting these out of order. Okay, so, because I already made 2 templates, and I talked about the Walmart one, and then it was crappy, so then I redid it, but then now I can't find the videos on that disc and that old camcorder, because when I put it into my computer, so I don't know, I'm not very good with this technology crap, so I'll just redo the Walmart one. But that was fun. That was a fun experience. All my experiences are fun. But okay, so this template, I already did the template, and I had the robbery, which I haven't talked about that one yet. The Barbara Lamb one I already talked about, so that one I'll have to merge these 2 videos. But yeah, I just realized, like, that carpet cleaner I had, man, the stupid coil thing snapped. And now I realize, and it might even say it in the manual, I don't know, but I realize in the manual, in the manual it should say that part needs to be lubed up, you know, at least a couple times a year. But I guess I never really, and I don't even know if that would have helped, but I think it maybe could have. But it just seemed like the last times, the dumb thing, it almost lasted 5 years, but the last few times I used it, it seemed like it wasn't, you know, laying down as far as it used to, like in my hand. And I'm like, man, what's the deal? Like, what's the deal? It seemed like it used to lay down. Well, and I think I was right, because that coil was all freaking getting old and hard and, you know, like brittle. So it wasn't stretching out like it should. It kind of seems like it's half plastic and half metalish, that little coil thing. And so last night I just tried to like force it down more, and the thing snapped. Because because now that I look at it and everything, and I looked at it from the video, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, and it looked much newer, and it was gray, and now it's all black looking. And yeah, when I looked at other videos of people using them, yeah, see, that was supposed to stretch more. It was supposed to stretch more. And so it's just that part was, the little coil thing was getting, it was just getting old. But like I say, I think lube could have maybe helped it, like some coconut oil, at least twice a year, but I didn't know that till now. I didn't know that was a part that maybe you needed to lube up occasionally. Because if that part snaps, you got to throw the whole thing away pretty much. So I gave it to somebody on Craigslist. I gave him the manual and the bag and everything. But yeah, I'll just go buy another one. It was only $136 about 5 years ago. But like I say, if I would have known that was a part that needed to be lubed up, I never thought about it. But yeah, well, what the deal is, I think over the coil was plastic. And the inside was kind of more metalish, that little coil. So it was both. But plastic gets crumbly over the years. But I still think a little lube could have helped. But I didn't know that that was a part that maybe needed to be lubed up. And there may be other parts that you really should do too. I don't know, but that part in the front right there where the water gets sucked up. And then you press the button and then it goes back out. Of that little coil. So shit, man. So I mean, my point is, I freaking learned something new about those stupid. Well, that was the first one I ever had, basically. Yeah, those apartments and stuff I used to live at. I mean, I should have, bought one, but I guess I just always use, a bucket of water. I mean, I should have got one, but I never did at all those apartments. I had the same kind of carpet, but for some reason I just never did. But I didn't have as many cats either. But yeah, so I learned something new, man. And then another thing that pissed me off was that I realized on eBay they're charging freaking tax. What are they doing with that tax? They're not giving it to me. They're not giving it to the buyer. That pisses me off because they're sitting there. I mean, if I bought the product and selling it, it had already been taxed when I bought it. You know what I'm saying? They're sitting there double dipping and re-taxing it. That freaking pisses me off. You know what I'm saying? And another thing I came across, that stupid mask that I bought, the ENVO mask, it doesn't work for smells at all, but I was stupid. I had to learn the hard way that you really did have to get a full-on respirator with those filters. I didn't really understand how the filters work. Like if there was no filters in the 3M respirator mask, I mean, wouldn't it still work for smells and stuff? Or maybe not. Because if it's still fitting tight to your face, I mean, why can't they make a respirator without filters? But, well, I realized no, the filters are needed. But, yeah, I mean, I still don't quite know how it works, but it works. And the filters are needed if you want to block out all smells. The filters are needed. So if you just didn't put filters on, and there was no spot for the filters, and it was still tight to your face, I don't know, still smells are going to somehow get in. Because it's got to be somehow filtered through the filters first before it hits inside the mask. I mean, I don't know, that's just kind of interesting. You just think it would kind of work without filters? And it might, just for like a few seconds or something, or for a few, slight smells, but not when there's just grotesque smell all throughout the grocery store or whatever. But yeah, so the filters really are needed. I realize that now after I've been wearing, the respirators with filters. But I'm not wearing it because of the coronavirus. But anyway, yeah, and then another thing I came across, some comment on YouTube about the, I forgot what it was called, but which even proves more that the corona is all fake and crap. I mean, there really could be a virus, who knows, but I don't think very many people are dying from it or getting sick from it. But it was a drill that they already concocted. They already, told people that they were going to do this drill in 2019 before, March. That's when this bull crap happened, was last March of 2020. And so 2019, they already told people it was called something 200. Yeah, something, here it is, something, event 201. Yeah, so look up event 201. But anyway, yeah, so I just, because I was, just kind of, like, wondering how do those 3M masks really work, and why do you really need the filters? But like I said, I realize now the filters are needed. At least for me, they are. And believe it or not, they do not last long either. I mean, I'm not even sitting there spray painting cars. I'm just going into grotesque places like Price Cutter. And the smell is just grotesque. I don't know what that smell is in the atmosphere. It's grotesque though. And just for ambient smells like that. Like, I haven't even been using that mask. I don't even think a month, and already the filters are clogged up, full of that grotesque smell. So tomorrow I'll get that other small respirator out and put some new filters on it. But yeah, I mean, they get clogged up fast for just ambient smells, like going into Walmart. Well, actually, Walmart does not smell bad at all. It's only when you go down the chemical aisle where the cat food is. Now that smells bad. But Walmart does not have that grotesque smell that Price Cutter does. And I don't know, it's just gross. I don't know where it's coming from. But the last time I went to Price Cutter, sat there for several hours, there was some kind of, and they had the Christmas trees out, and some kind of flowery fragrance smell was in the air, as well as that other nasty smell. But anyway, just kind of interesting, that's all. But yeah, so here's some of my good experiences that I had. Well, I guess I'll talk about a couple I had, or just real fast about today and yesterday. Well, yesterday, it's like I can't remember if I was walking along, driving along, riding my bike. I can't remember. But anyway, we'll just say that I was walking along. And it was more like a lucid dream, I guess, just not a very good lucid dream, but I mean, it was a good dream. And yeah, so I was walking along, and I was going to the cruise ship. I was going to meet my friend Angie inside the cruise ship. And this is weird, but it was like a gay cruise ship, but it seemed like it was more for like gay guys. The aliens must have took that from a long time ago when I watched that one movie or something, because that's weird. But anyway, but it was for women too, but it just seemed like it was more for gay guys. But so I was walking along, and getting ready to walk, a little farther to get to the cruise ship and to go inside the cruise ship to meet Angie. And so I was walking along these highways. And, right there between the highways was all this little, streams, lakes, whatever you want to call it. And there's all these little baby turtles, and there were like big, huge freaking cooters. I mean, these cooters were like 20 inches. And I was like, wow, I've never seen cooters, in red earth sliders like that big. But that was kind of cool. And then I walked farther, and over to the right was a bear. A bear was like trying to catch a fish. The bear was in the water, but the bear. And the funny thing is, yeah, I actually was kind of watching stuff about bears and stuff before that experience. The bear had a more smaller, narrower face, but I was like, wow. And it seemed like somebody was with me, but I don't remember who the heck it was. But I was like, wow, a bear is in the water. And, well, at that time, that seemed more like a lake. Not necessarily ocean, but it seemed like a big lake that was over at the side of the highway. But in the middle parts of the highway was the little creek. Middle part of the highway where the grass should have been. It was just like a little creek, and it had a bunch of turtles and baby turtles. And it was just like a normal thing. But then when you wake up, you're like, well, that's not really normal. You know what I mean? But, yeah, and then over about 6 feet to the left of that bear was a alligator. and I was like, wow, an alligator, and it was just kind of swimming around. But the bear was after something, and it seemed like it was after a big fish or something. But it was a black bear, and it was after a big fish. And then, like I say, then I looked over there 5 feet or 5 yards to the left, and I was like, wow, an alligator. And so then I kept walking and walking, and I walked inside the cruise ship. And this was kind of funny because there was only like one table set up in the whole first floor of the cruise ship, one round table with like 5 chairs, you know, because this is like during COVID, so there was just like one table, and you know, because they couldn't allow that many people on the cruise ship. And then Angie started walking out, and I'm like, where are you going? And she said, well, they said I can't be on the cruise ship this time. And so we started walking out, and I was just like, wow, you know, I thought you were supposed to go on the cruise. But anyway, but that was kind of funny or whatever. But it was kind of fast, as far as I remember. I probably am forgetting a lot of details, because that was kind of a not very good dream. But this morning I had another, I mean, it was a good dream, but it was just kind of a dream, I guess. But, and then this morning I had well, I guess it was kind of more of a dream too, a really good dream. And, yeah, it was kind of disturbing, and, well, I texted my sister today, but she hasn't texted back, but I'm sure she's okay or whatever. But it was like my sister, one of the female friends, and a guy friend. I can't remember if it was the female friend's boyfriend or my sister's boyfriend. They went on a little lake, what do you call it? A little lake trip, a boating trip. They went on a boating trip. Oh yeah, the aliens took this from my brain, because, you know, I did have all that on the brain, because a couple weeks ago she went out on the boat with her friend. But in the scenario, it was a different guy and a different girl. And, well, anyway, they became lost. The implication was that they drowned and shit or whatever. But yeah, it was kind of horrid. I mean, it's kind of a nightmare, you know what I'm saying? And, yeah, so anyway, it lasted a lot longer than what I'm trying to talk about or whatever, but anyway, so at some point, like I was walking up to the lake or whatever, and then some people came to me and said they're lost, they can't be found, they're lost, you know, we think they drowned, blah 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 blah. And then at some part in the dream there was a picture shown, and it was like my sister and then the guy and the girl, and you know, because it was kind of like a picture that was being shown to, I don't know if it was being shown, it was kind of like as if it was on the news, you know what I'm saying? And it was kind of being shown to me like as if it was on the news, and so me and other people could see what they look like have you seen these people, because they had maybe drowned, blah 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 blah. And see, some of these shitty dreams, I think my implant is creating. You know what I mean? But I mean, it wasn't. Well, you know what I mean? The dreams, I think my implants are creating. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and I recently watched that story, and I think a lot of those were made up actually. But I watched this story that show, you know, Unsolved Mysteries. I used to watch it back a long time ago, but this is a different Unsolved Mysteries, on a newer one on Netflix. And so the aliens kind of went all off of that. But like I said, I think these shitty dreams I've been having lately, that are kind of not quite as good as a lucid dream. They're still pretty good, but just not quite as good as a lucid dream. I think my implant is creating those. But yeah, so that was kind of fun or whatever. Those two experiences, well, except for that one that I just talked about. But yeah, that's kind of horrid when they give you experiences like that. But okay, so I'll talk about the bookstore one. The bookstore one where I robbed the place. Okay, so this was an OBE-VR lucid dream. Okay, the aliens placed me in a bookstore, and And this bookstore, in the scenario, it just felt like a totally different dimension and everything. It didn't even feel like the bookstore up the street. This was a totally different bookstore, and it was very, very small. It was like a fourth of the bookstore up the street. So the aliens placed me in a bookstore. It was a small bookstore, and I went to look at magazines. Oh, way over to the left was like the door. I walked into the door. There was a table right there of like hunters looking people, like 3 or 4 men. They looked like they were hunters. They didn't look like, they looked like they owned guns and they were hunters. Well, the aliens put that in there because that one guy up the street that goes up to the street, he has a lot of guns and stuff. But anyway, it was like 4 guys, and way over to the left, or about 5 yards to the left, was that whole wall almost was like freaking magazines and stuff. And then if you looked over to the right, it was just one way over to the right. That was the whole end of the bookstore. Way over to the right, then was more books to the left and to the right, and then the cashier up at the other side of the wall. And it was just a very small bookstore, just one big rectangle, just a very small bookstore. And but anyway, so the aliens placed me in a bookstore. It was a small bookstore, and I went to look at the magazines, which was on the back wall. And before I did that, which was over to the left, and way over to the right, other end of the wall was the cashier. And I saw some men that looked like deer hunters sitting at the table, like 3 or 4 men. And when I looked at the magazines, I tried to memorize most of the magazines that I saw, because this was pretty, it was a good experience. It was pretty virtual reality. And I tried to memorize most of the magazines I saw, as I wanted to mention all of them in the video. I saw this magazine called American Hunter, and one that said National Geographic, and then I saw one that said Homes and Gardens, and like about 50 other ones. But only 2 I singled out on purpose so I could tell about those on the video. So the one was called American Hunter. That one I singled out. This is funny. Then the second one was misspelled, so I couldn't wait to say, hey, the aliens don't know how to spell. When I was in the scenario, I was like, wow, I was singling out the second magazine that I was going to talk about in my video. And I was like, wow, the aliens don't know how to spell. That's what I was, saying to myself in the bookstore as I was looking at the magazines. The second magazine, it said, I can't remember the first word, but the second word was phosphates. I forgot what the first word was, but it was something phosphates. Or phosphates, you know what I'm saying? And I did have, stuff like that on the brain and stuff before this experience. Like nitrates, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So the aliens put the word, or made up a magazine, and it said something phosphates. And I can't remember the first word. So the second magazine was called something phosphates. I forgot the first word. And I was shocked that it was misspelled, and the aliens didn't spell it right. It was spelled, it was either spelled P-H-O-S-P-H-A-O-T-E-S or P-H-O-S-P-H-O-A-T-E-S. Well, that's not how you spell phosphates. And I was excited to see that, and was kind of shocked. I was like, wow, I'm going to tell the audience the aliens don't know how to spell. So then I decided, wow, I know I'm out of body, so let me go beat those men up or something. So I was going to go, kind of rough them up. Okay, so then I decided, wow. Okay, so after I looked at all the magazines for quite a while, now this experience was a lot better than a dream. This was an OBE-VR lucid dream. It didn't feel like 3D. It felt totally like a different dimension and stuff, but it was pretty damn virtual reality. And it was a lot better than those dreams that I just told you about. Okay, so then I decided, wow, I know I'm out of body, so let me go beat those men up or something, because I know I won't get in trouble. So then I decided against it, since I decided that they may beat my ass. So I decided to do something else unruly. So I went over to the cashier, which was way over to the right, all the way against the wall, or almost against the wall. The cashier was actually way far out of the wall, like 6 yards away from the wall, the cashier. And it was facing me, which was odd. So then I went over to the cashier where only one woman worker was there. Only one woman worker was in the store. And the only other people in the store was me and those 3 to 4 deer hunter looking men sitting at the table. Okay, so then, I went over to the cashier. Like I said, there's only one female worker standing around. That was the opposite ends of the magazine wall. And I just went up there and helped myself. I went up there, I opened the cash register and stole all the bills out of the cash register. The bills were only in one wad in one compartment of the register, but I took the whole wad and I was like, wow, this don't seem like any more than like $100. It only seemed to be like $100 maybe, if that. It was a big wad, but somehow, you know, when I looked at the wads, it just looked like a bunch of ones and some fives, you know what I mean? And the bills were only in one spot in the register. Funny thing is, the register was facing backwards, you know, towards the magazine wall. And where the patrons would be walking around, which was strange, which of course was me, you know, or other patrons. It was facing me, the cash register. And like I say, the wad of money, I don't know why the aliens did that, because they could have made me think, oh, there's got to be, you know, $3,000 here, you know, if they would have made me see like a bunch of $100 bills. But when I looked at the big wad, it just seemed like a bunch of ones and some fives. So I knew it was probably no more than like $100. The female worker like saw me and looked all perturbed and shit and saw me steal the money. And I saw her give me a really funny, perturbed, aggravating look. Then she like picked up her phone and proceeded to dial 911. So then I ran out of the store with the money. There was another door at the other end of the store where the cashier and the worker was. Over to the right, there was another door. So then I ran out of the store with the money and I never got caught. And that was the end of the scenario. And this is kind of funny because I was just talking about robbery the day before this experience at work. And I saw, in real life, I was just talking about robbery and stuff the day before at work. And, you know, in the PM, like 2, 3 p.m., we were talking about that at work. And I saw that large woman in real life in 3D at the bookstore before this experience. But that was just kind of funny. Walking along with the cash register box when I left last night. Like me and my sister went before this experience. We went to the bookstore, and when we left out at 7 p.m. or whatever, that big woman that worked there was walking along with the cash register in her hands. So I don't know if that, you know, the alien, you know, got the idea to put that, you know, the cash register in my scenario or whatever because of that or not. But anyway. Okay, so see that I had in the template and the Walmart experience. Wait a minute, no I don't. I mean the Barbara Lamb experience I already talked about. Okay, so the bookstore I talked about, the Barbara Lamb experience I talked about, but I gotta merge these two videos. But well, the other scenario, it wasn't a big deal, but it was still kind of fun. It lasted quite a long time too. This was an OBE-VR lucid dream about cell phones and stuff because I knew my mom and dad were about to get some iPhones. And so basically, okay, hold on. Okay, so we were all in the kitchen. The kitchen was kind of like mine, but a bit bigger. The whole house wasn't any house I have ever been in. It was supposed to be my parents' house, I believe, but it was just so different. It was so different, it felt nothing like their house. But in the scenario, but the kitchen was kind of like mine, just one big square, except it was a little bigger, the scenario. But yeah, that's weird that they placed me in some house and it didn't feel anything familiar, you know, like real life or whatever. But so it was supposed to be their house, I believe anyway, but we pretty much, it was like me, my sister, my brother, my mom and dad. We're just hanging out in the kitchen. And finally we had both cell phones delivered, and we had opened both of them. Like the cell phones were delivered, and then right there in the kitchen we were sitting there fiddling with them and opening them up right in the kitchen. I was showing my mom hers, and I was showing dad, you know, his cell phone. Oh yeah, and there's another part of the scenario. My sister, I said something to my sister, and we got into an argument, and I thought she was going to beat me up or something. And in the scenario, she was like big. She was a lot bigger in the scenario. But she didn't beat me up. She just like walked off into another room. She walked out of the kitchen. And like I say, she was huge in the scenario. But, oh, the funny thing is, my mom's cell phone was normal, but my dad's was not. When I picked up his cell phone, it was like really long and really skinny. Not quite as skinny as a ruler, but it was about like a ruler and a half skinny. And it was like probably 8 inches long, or maybe, yeah, I would say about 8 inches long. And just about, I don't know, like 2 inches, like 1.75 inches or 2 inches wide. It was really skinny, so that was kind of funny. And then there was one weird perverted thing in the scenario. But the funny thing is, the aliens created this whole cell phone scenario because, you know, for months now, you know, my mom and dad, they needed a new cell phone. AKA iPhone, because they had the flip phones and they don't work anymore. But there was this funny, weird, perverted thing in this scenario, but I don't know if I should talk about it. I mean, it's not that bad, but the aliens do stuff like that occasionally. They put perverted things in my scenarios. But basically, like my and you know, they'll, like, it's so real and so dramatic, you know. Basically, my mom was sort of like, seemed like she was kind of, it seemed like, I know this is kind of weird, but it seemed like I was leaning down a lot. I don't know, I do that a lot, kind of. Like, I don't know why. Like, I'll get a package and instead of opening it on the counter, I'll open it on the floor or whatever. And it seemed like in this scenario, I was kind of leaning down a lot, showing my mom, you know, and my dad their cell phones and stuff. And this perverted part, it seemed like my mom was sort of leaning down too. And then she gave me this funny look, and she said, and she looked all dramatic and stuff, and she said, she gave me this like real funny, kind of sickly look, and she's like, oh, you know, like I don't feel good, because she said that she had to go poo poo or whatever, and she said that it went back up, and but like I say, the aliens, they can make the person look so dramatic and, you know, and so sickly and stuff. And my mom, she looked all sickly and dramatic. And I was just kind of like, well, Mom, well, don't be holding it. That's not good to hold it. You know what I mean? But that was the really weird, perverted thing that was in the scenario. But what was I going to say? And I wonder if they took that from my brain from a long time ago, because I remember that nurse saying that. That nurse said that, you know, because she's a nurse, so she may have seen a lot of people with butt problems, you know what I mean? With colon problems or something, and she said if you had to go to the bathroom or something like that, she said it wasn't good to hold it, you know what I'm saying? Well, it's probably not good to hold your pee-pee either if you got to pee real bad. But anyway, that was just kind of weird and perverted. But that was that scenario. And the bookstore one was a little more fun. But let's see, I may have time to talk about this other one. Okay, let me see. But I can't remember. Okay, this is Malaysian guy. Okay, now that's a pretty long one. Okay, yeah, that's a pretty long one. The Walmart one is kind of... But I wonder if I have time to talk about this one. Okay, I'm gonna try to talk about this one real quick. Okay, this other OBE-VR lucid dream, and this isn't the first time the aliens have put me in that same research facility, or similar, you know, research facility. And I think I did talk about that other experience in some other video. Okay, so this not this morning, but I mean that one morning several days ago, I went to jail, but this was an OBE-VR lucid dream. I went to jail, but it was more like a paid medical research facility. Like, it didn't look like a jail. It seemed more like a paid medical research facility, but it was a jail. And I went to jail. The aliens have taken me to this exact same place before, but today it was a jail. The other time it was like a women's shelter, I believe. I think I said it was a women's... Yeah, that other scenario I talked about, it was a women's shelter, but it still seemed like a paid medical research facility. But the whole building was almost 90% exact as the other one in the other scenario. Okay, I walked around forever conversing with a lot of people, and I even... Oh, yeah, this was an important one. I even had romance with a not so attractive, kind of bulldoggy looking person. And I said, "You aren't supposed to be doing this, are you?" She said, "No, but they know I'm crazy, so I get away with it." Okay, a black woman talked to me and was telling me that person was in for this and that, yada yada, as I was walking around forever and ever and ever. This experience lasted a long, long, long time. She looked about 30s and had short hair and was short. The reason why I was there, because I was there guilty by association. I was there because I was guilty by association because of a hit and run accident. I was in the same car as the person who was driving. And by the way, when I do believe it probably was the alien that was actually making out with me. The alien was making out with me, I have no doubt. And the alien was like trying to project like it was some ugly bulldog looking woman. But I know it was the alien making out with me because, you know, I kind of know the difference. Because I know their you know, kind of like their pattern, their habits or whatever. I mean, I know the difference when they just place like a virtual reality person in the scenario and when they are actually trying to like make out with me, you know? So I really do believe that that was the alien. We didn't kiss. I don't remember kissing or anything. But the alien, but it was like so real. It was so cool. Like it was probably a male, because most of these aliens are males, you know? But he was like all rubbing like my thigh and my butt and my leg but as far as I remember, we did not kiss or anything like that. And then, like I say, he was trying to project like he was this kind of ugly bulldog looking woman, which he shouldn't have done that. But anyway, but yeah, so that was a romance that was in the scenario, but it was like pretty cool. And I do think it was the alien actually doing that. And see, I totally forgot about this experience. Thank God I typed it out, because I know sometimes it takes me a long time to talk about it. But if I don't type it out immediately, you know, I'll just forget it all or whatever. But yeah, so that romance scenario was kind of cool. So anyway, so when I walked around forever conversing with a lot of people, and I even had romance with a not so attractive person, which was the alien. And I said, "You aren't supposed to be doing this, are you?" And she said, "No, but they know I'm crazy, so I get away with it." And then, of course, I started talking to this black woman. Oh, and by the way, the black woman, she was a worker. She wasn't there. For a crime. She was an employee, it seemed. A black woman talked to me and was telling me that person was in for this and that and yada yada. And she looked about 30, had short hair and was short. And like I say, I was in there for guilty by association for a hit and run accident. I wasn't driving, but I was in the car. The aliens put that in here because I had hit and run on the brain for quite some time now, because my brother had been involved in many hit and runs. I don't know if there's people in the other cars or not, but he has totaled like 3 or 4 cars in the past several years because he drives while drinking. And so I had that on the brain. Okay, so the aliens put that in here because I had hit and run on the brain for quite some time now, since my brother had done that several times in the past and wrecked 3 of his cars. And one recently, he wrecked one pretty recently. Also, this was funny, when it was time for shower time and stuff, I went into the bathroom, which was a very small bathroom. The sink was to the right, the shower was behind me. I went to the bathroom and there were 3 insignias on the wall to the left of the mirror. To the left top of the mirror, kind of like advertisements. One was like a camel or something. Actually, one kind of seemed like a dinosaur with his face going to the left. One seemed like a dinosaur, and one seemed like a camel or something. And then I forgot the other insignia, but then sitting there over to the upper right of the small sink counter, there was this yucky old toothpaste that had been rolled up tightly. So now the small tube was only about 2.2 inches long. And I was like, gross, I don't use chemicals, you know, because aliens know I don't use toothpaste, because they know that's chemicals. But this tube of toothpaste, you could tell, was like, oh my God, it needed to be thrown away. It had been used so much and it had been rolled up. And it was just a very, very small tube at this point. And I was thinking to myself, gross, I don't use chemicals. I wasn't about to use it anyway. The aliens know I don't use chemicals. Only baking soda and coconut oil. The funny thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if that really was... Okay, well anyway, but about the insignia stuff, like I say, one kind of looked like a dinosaur face, but it was pointing to the left. It was kind of bluish, grayish. And then there was two other insignias, like a camel. I don't know, it was kind of funny because it was kind of like advertisements or something, or I don't know, where the inmates had put those, you know, had stuck those to the wall or something. It was kind of cool. But anyway, and like I say, this scenario lasted a long time. I mean, I was in it for a long time, you know. I don't know, it probably seemed like I walked around, you know, for hours and hours and hours. But it's easy to talk about, you know, in about 10 minutes or whatever. The funny thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if that really was an alien doing that and having romance with me. And not just a virtual reality person created by the aliens, independent of the alien. And like I say, I do believe that was, because I know, you know, I know the difference, you know, when they kind of are doing it compared to when they just throw a virtual reality person, you know. But I do believe that was the actual alien doing that. And then he was trying to project this ugly, real dyke-looking, long, brownish, gross, like, woman on me. You know, trying to make me think that's what the person looked like, when it was actually the alien doing that. Because of the way it happened, like, it was so virtual reality, and I saw her rubbing my thigh, leg, etc., and it went on for quite some time. Then, as far as I remembered, I didn't actually see her face, but I saw visions of what her face and her hair looked like when she was rubbing me all up and down and shit. That was just another alien being a good little lover again. Most likely a reptilian. Yeah, because, like I say, that they, you know, it's just a little different, you know, like feeling when they're actually in the scenario doing that compared to when they just throw complete virtual reality replica person doing that to you. You know what I'm saying? So in this case, I think it was an alien actually, you know, well, I don't even know if, you know, I guess my astral body or whatever, rubbing me up and down and shit, like my thigh. It's hilarious. Yeah, the aliens are very good lovers. Okay, well, then I gotta talk about the Walmart one, and then after 4... Okay, yeah, that's a long one, though. And the Malaysian guy one, that's a long one. So I can talk about that in a different video. Okay, well, thanks for listening.